Recognizing the member for West Vancouver, Capilano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the MLA from Burnaby North. Well, it's been a long journey for women, and it continues to be. And I thank the groundbreaking women that came before me and started to open the door. And I thank the amazing young women coming up behind who are kicking that door open. All too often, it feels like getting older means being erased from a culture that equates youth and beauty, or youth with beauty and beauty with value. The world remains rife with ageism and sexism for older women. But I do see more and more of that narrative changing. I'm seeing more roles being written for, I'll call them mature women in movies, and I see more women leaders and an expectation that women will be leaders regardless of age. So a friend once told me when a woman hits 50, she becomes invisible. Now, from the MLA from Burnaby North, I did not know there was actually a syndrome called Invisible Older Women Syndrome, but I have just learned something. So perhaps my friend was not too far from the truth. But I think aging is a woman's superpower. As we age, we're more likely to be able to live our own life with our truth and be comfortable with who we are and the value that we bring to others. As I age, I get smarter. But growing up as a woman in the 80s and 90s did result in some traditional baggage that so many women feel at my age and are trying to get rid of. That's that self-doubt, the instinct to defer to others, and the very annoying habit of when you apologize to someone in the grocery store and they're the one that actually walked into you. So I'm very lucky that my daughter is growing up in a Me Too generation, where there isn't in the back of her mind, there's traditional gender roles that are going to guide her life choices. And then when someone or some situation, she finds herself being disrespected because she's a young woman, she can recognize that now, as we perhaps didn't, and she can call it out. But hopefully, because of all we've learned as we age, she won't have to do that. There is a consequence, however, to longevity. And we can't forget that there are a number of continuing social issues that impact women disproportionately in their quality of life while aging. As our society ages, the ratio of women to men continues to increase. In Canada, there are 2 times as many women living after the age of 85 and 5 times as many over 100. The poverty rate for senior women in Canada is almost double that of men. The largest group of poor seniors are single, widowed, or divorced women living over 65 living alone, and almost half of those live below the poverty line, with isolation being a common struggle for senior women. One of the top factors pushing women into poverty later in life is the traditional role that they play, and that traditional role does remain in many ways today, in the workplace and in their families. Women are much more likely to work part-time than are men. Women continue to approximately make 70 cents per every dollar earned by a man, which further exacerbates low-income rates for women, especially those who live alone or are single mothers. Women also experience more disruption in their careers as they take time off to have children and be caregivers. Now, I noticed something several years ago when I was managing a group of women, that it wasn't unusual for a woman employee, when she came to let me know that she was pregnant and she was going to plan her maternity leave, that she wouldn't finish that sentence without apologizing to me. So this is apologizing for what should have been the happiest time in her life. And then I found I did it myself. When I told my boss I was going to take time off because I was having a daughter, I apologized. And he looked at me like he was a bit annoyed, like I'd chosen a very inconvenient time to become a mother, and men don't experience this. So the preponderance of women living in poverty is also due in part to biology. Women simply live longer than men, 83 years in Canada on average versus 79 for men. They are much more likely to outlive their spouses and their savings. That leaves them having to save more for their retirement. My own 94-year-old mother often jokes that she would have saved more had she known she was going to live this long. But I wouldn't trade aging for anything. Mr. Speaker, the alternative is not very appealing. I have learned and grown for all of the journeys and experiences of my lifetime, and it makes me a kinder and gentler person, but I will still never wear purple or a red hat. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.